Here she goes again. Hide your face, hide your neck, duck your head, wear an NFL football helmet when you are playing in a game versus DiJonai Carrington. Fresh off of clotheslining, a Kane and Undertaker clothesline from hell that she delivered to Sophie Cunningham, this girl is right back on the court, hitting people upside the head.
Hands up, swipe for the ball with our right hand while poking the player in the eye with the left hand.
Oh, we're poking eyeballs out again? Is that what we're doing? We're eye gouging again?
Sometimes a run of bad breaks quietly turns into something else entirely. It stops reading as misfortune and starts reading as a pattern. And this is exactly the moment DiJonai Carrington found herself in, right in the middle of it all. Just 4 days after getting ejected for a flagrant 2 on Sophie Cunningham, she stepped back onto the court to face the Golden State Valkyries, and it didn't take long for trouble to follow her there again. In that very same game, 2 more separate incidents unfolded, both involving her hands landing somewhere they clearly shouldn't have been. One strike caught Cecilia Zandarini square in the eye, while another connected across Tiffany Hayes' mouth. 2 different players, 2 different moments, yet the exact same troubling pattern repeating itself in one single outing. And this time around, fans weren't willing to sit back and wonder whether it was simply an accident.
Tried to tell ya, I tried. This girl is not going to stop until she takes somebody out the league. This girl will not stop until she ends somebody's career. DiJonai Carrington, once again, with another dirty foul in less than a week, in just a couple of days apart from each other. A couple of days apart from the Sophie Cunningham hard foul. You have Mrs. Eye Poke, Mrs. Flagrant foul. I'm gonna grab your head, I'm gonna hit your head upside your head, knock you out the air. Mrs. I'm gonna pull your hair. Mrs. I'm gonna whack you on the back of your head. Mrs. Long nailed, sharp knobbed fingertips. DiJonai Carrington strikes.
During the first sequence, Carrington found herself guarding Zandalicini out on the perimeter, and while her right hand genuinely reached for the basketball, her left hand swept upward and across, landing right in Zandalicini's eye as both of her arms stretched into the air. Then, a little later in that same matchup, Tiffany Hayes rose up for a layup, and Carrington rose right along with her. But instead of coming anywhere close to the ball, she brought her arm down hard and caught Hayes directly across the mouth. Surprisingly, neither play was ruled a flagrant foul, and neither drew a technical either, yet Carrington still ended up picking up a technical foul that same game for arguing with an official in the third quarter, which says a lot about the mindset she was already carrying before either of those 2 fouls even took place.
She put both hands up right after. But that's DiJonai.
Yeah, I gouged another white girl. Yeah, I gouged another white girl while wearing your Sophie Cunningham wig. I am officially. Hey, this ain't Clerks 2, but I'm taking back Sophie Cunningham's hair. I'm taking it back. You got Sophie Cunningham's hair on while you're poking the white girls in the eyeballs.
This is where things start to feel a lot more serious, because we're not talking about some rookie still adjusting to the speed of the league. This is a 6-year veteran who's already played for 3 different franchises and carries a well-documented history behind her. One that includes poking Caitlin Clark in the eye back during the 2024 playoffs. At the time, that incident got brushed off pretty easily. Clark herself said she didn't believe it was intentional, and Carrington claimed she couldn't even imagine deliberately hitting someone in the eye. Fair enough, people took her at her word, or at least gave her the benefit of the doubt back then. But here's the thing. Once can be written off as an accident, twice starts to feel like coincidence, and now with a 3rd and 4th incident, all striking the face, all happening in contact-heavy moments, the whole thing begins to look like something far less innocent.
Go on to defend her, the story, the narrative that she's not a dirty player, she makes plays like this all the time. I put together a little clip of DiJonai Carrington, who is definitely one of the dirtiest players in the WNBA. I don't know if we can roll it, but she's taken her long fingernails. She's scratched Caitlin Clark's eyes out. She's had multiple instances of chasing people down from behind trying the same SWAT and smashing them in the head and causing mini fights. She pulled another girl's hair. I don't know if we'll get to that clip in a second when she's falling. Totally dirty play. This is not a skin color thing. She has a history of making dirty plays, and it's fine. The NBA, you can be...
Let's take a second to really appreciate the sheer physical talent Carrington brings to the floor, because that's exactly what makes this whole situation sting so much for anyone who genuinely admires her game. She's a former Most Improved Player finalist, someone whose steal numbers rank her near the very top of the league defensively, and she brings the length, instincts, and anticipation needed to guard multiple positions, which is precisely why teams keep handing her opportunities despite everything else going on. Nobody's disputing that she's a legitimately talented basketball player. The real argument is that talent alone shouldn't keep excusing a pattern that continues putting other players' safety on the line. And at this point, people have almost stopped talking about her skill entirely, shifting the entire conversation toward her conduct instead.
Photo from the flagrant 2 on DiJonai Carrington against Sophie Cunningham, where she proceeded to go into the locker room and tweet white privilege after being thrown out of the game. I'm not going to comment on that situation, but I will say this. This is a flagrant 2. Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, don't matter. This is a flagrant. I mean, she clotheslined her. What more do you want? So, this looks very bad. It just shows that the WNBA is nowhere near where they need to be professionally, because again, this is a clothesline. It's a flagrant 2.
We really need to circle back to where this whole storm first ignited, because that Valkyries game certainly didn't happen in isolation. Just 4 days earlier, Carrington had already found herself at the center of the single most talked about foul of the entire WNBA season. Sophie Cunningham was midair on a fast break layup, the shot already falling through the net, when Carrington came flying in from behind and swept her arm directly across Cunningham's head and neck, sending her crashing hard to the floor. Officials initially ruled it a flagrant 1, then upgraded that call to a flagrant 2 after further review, citing wind-up, impact, and follow-through, language the league specifically reserves for a foul that's neither accidental nor careless, but deliberate enough to trigger an automatic ejection.
White privilege after getting tossed from the game, but says it wasn't about the foul. Can you explain this?
No, I can't. When she tweeted white privilege, she did it so quickly, it was almost as though she had the phone in her pocket after this foul and she got ejected. So, I mean, to say she wasn't referring to this play or getting kicked out and saying that the only reason she got kicked out and it got upgraded is because Sophie Cunningham is white is crazy. It was a crazy thing to tweet, maybe crazier than to try to act like it had nothing to do with the play. So I have no idea what she's talking about. I don't think anybody can have any idea what she's talking about. Bizarre.
The chaos didn't end there. What came right after only made things worse. Cunningham sprang up and went straight after Carrington, forcing teammates from both sides to step in and separate them. When reporters pressed officials on why Cunningham avoided a technical, the crew explained her reaction was justified given how severe the initial contact had been, essentially confirming on record what everyone watching the replay already suspected. The footage itself tells the story. Her right hand reaches for the ball, but that left hand swings across and connects with the face, arms raised afterward as if nothing happened, a pattern replayed again and again for anyone still doubting it. Consider the timeline. 8 points in 4 minutes off the bench, ejected in the first quarter for a foul the league itself labeled excessive, then 4 days later back on the floor, catching 2 more players across the face in a single night. That's not one unlucky slip. That's aggression crossing the same line repeatedly, regardless of opponent. Which brings us to a tweet that's been spreading fast, capturing what raw stats can't. Carrington's career trajectory looks shaky, having cycled through multiple teams in just 2 years. Connecticut moved on, Dallas didn't keep her, Minnesota didn't retain her, and Chicago committed to only a single season. Whether those exact numbers hold up, the sentiment clearly resonates. The actual record shows Connecticut drafted her in 2021, traded her to Dallas in February 2024, shipped her to Minnesota at last year's deadline, where a season-ending playoff injury followed, and now she's on a 1-year Chicago contract. For organizations in roughly 2 years, each exit marking another team choosing to walk away. Through it all, nearly catching Cunningham across the head and neck, bloodying her mouth, and getting ejected. Carrington still headed straight to Twitter after the flagrant 2 call, invoking white privilege in all caps while tagging the Indiana Fever. Apparently, according to Carrington herself, anyone who connected her white privilege tweet to the flagrant 2 and ejection is simply lacking critical thinking. Fans, Cunningham supporters, basketball fans in general, all supposedly missed the point. But roster movement rarely happens by accident. Sometimes it's fit, sometimes a rebuild, sometimes business. Yet when multiple coaches decline to bring a player back and her latest team offers only a 1-year deal, that's a signal, not coincidence. Front offices valuing her athletic ability while hesitating to commit long-term, essentially treating the contract as a trial run rather than confidence. That social media post shifted the entire conversation toward race and officiating, conveniently sidestepping the actual basketball question of whether the foul was dangerous and whether a pattern exists. Less than a week later, 2 more incidents in a single game only add weight to that question, testing whether the league's supposed zero-tolerance stance on dangerous contact means anything without public pressure forcing action. Separately, footage circulating shows Sarah Williams appearing to frame a fan interaction dramatically, with officials investigating and the fan eventually leaving. The kind of defensive maneuvering that tends to surface when someone senses accountability closing in, though attempts to get spectators removed mark new territory, even for a player with a long history of physical play. Fans have stopped calling it a rough patch and started calling it a pattern, reviving the eye poker label that's trailed her since the Clark incident in 2024, except now it carries far less patience, given 3 separate players and 3 separate faces struck within a single week. And accountability remains the real issue, since rather than addressing the Cunningham play directly, Carrington posted about white privilege from the locker room, burying the actual question of dangerous fouls under a separate controversy for days. And now, with the Valkyries game added to the mix, neither storyline paints her as someone owning what keeps happening on the floor. Watch the sequence closely. The ball gets touched, sure, but then comes the extra shot to the face. As if missing contact on the first attempt meant a second swing was somehow necessary. And no, a similarly shaped head doesn't explain away repeated contact like this. Compilation after compilation keeps surfacing, and none of it looks good. Swiping at the ball only to catch someone's eye afterward reads as dirty, plain, and simple. Beyond her own career, there's a fairness angle worth sitting with. Zandalicini has to keep playing with a staff now wary of leaving her matched against Carrington. Hayes absorbed contact in a moment nowhere near the ball, and Cunningham left the floor visibly shaken, teammates stepping in before things escalated further. These aren't just numbers. Real players are absorbing real hits from someone whose reputation for skirting the rulebook edge keeps growing, with plenty of fans convinced she's already crossed it. Separately, rumors spread that Carrington broke rules by being on her phone after ejection, supposedly violating a policy barring devices around game time. Though after digging through the league's own 91-page rulebook, no such specific rule turned up. Still, the broader concern lingers. Claims circulated that she was seen on her phone in uniform during the game, which matters given the WNBA's collective bargaining agreement explicitly bans players from any gambling connected to league games, especially after the league had to walk back a betting-related promotional clip only weeks earlier. If there's truth to it, the league's silence becomes its own issue. Talking tough on gambling while staying quiet on phone use doesn't sit well with fans, and they've noticed the inconsistency almost immediately, leaving one question hanging in the air. Just how many more faces does this pattern need before something actually changes? Nearly every outing brings another version of the same thing, contact to the face, over and over, and this particular sequence stood out as the most alarming yet. Hayes driving toward the rim, Carrington closing in behind her, nowhere near the basketball, yet somehow making contact anyway. That's really the core of why this story refuses to fade. It's not a single flagrant destined to be forgotten within a week, but the third documented face area incident tied to her name in under 2 years, spanning 3 opponents and 2 franchises, with a 4th now stacking on just days later. Each time, the explanation leans on unintentional contact, yet each replay tells a slightly different story, and at some point intent stops being the only relevant question. The pattern itself starts speaking louder than any explanation offered. A defensive reputation can't be built on headlines about hitting faces instead of headlines about clean stops and deflections. The story keeps becoming "she did it again" rather than praise for genuine defensive plays, and that's an image problem that, in a league this size, quickly turns into a financial one. Zoom out further, and this stretches beyond one player's reputation entirely. The WNBA has spent recent seasons building momentum through new broadcast deals and sponsorship growth, largely resting on a clean, competitive image, and every viral moment tied to dangerous contact, controversial posts, or gambling-adjacent rumors chips away at that. The longer it goes unaddressed, the more it becomes specifically Chicago's problem, since she's wearing their jersey each time it unfolds. And if incidents keep stacking up before this one-year deal even wraps, the front office may end up forced into a decision far sooner than anyone currently expects.